What's going on guys, CasualSavage here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use Vegas Pro 15. So in this video I'm going to go through all of the basics. So first of all, everything on the user interface. What's useful, what's not useful, and every single tool. After that I'll then go into how to use some text and how to edit text and then how to create your own presets. I'll also show you the pan and crop, masking, track motion, volume control, and a lot more. So this video is really based towards those who are beginners because everything in this is going to be 100% basic things in Vegas Pro 15. Now there was a lot to cover in this video, so if there is anything I missed then let me know in the comments or let me know on Twitter and I'll help you out with that if you need help. So here we are in Vegas Pro 15. It's a very nice simple layout. Over to here on this left side we have our media generators where we can get some text. Here we have projects media. This is where everything will be that you use in your project. Here we have Explorer, so you can manage through your computer right from here. Then of course here we have transitions, pretty self-explanatory, and then of course we have video effects. Over to the side here is video preview. So when you play a video from your timeline, this is where it'll be played. Underneath that, you can see we have a record button, we have a loop playback, we have a play from start, pause, and a stop. However, you may not see all of these when you have Vegas. The reason I see them is because I press this button here which shows more buttons. Now you can see we have all of these buttons which actually aren't here. So if you want them there, you would select Edit Visible Button Set. From there you just select the ones that you want and then select OK and they would be shown here. Above the video we have our project's video properties, something you really won't need to mess with, but next to it we have video preview. Now what this will do, if you select it, it will preview your video here in full screen. The button next to it is video effects, so if you select this, anything in your project will be affected by the video effect you add. On this side is a split screen view. Now this means you can see a before and after of how your video looks when you add an effect. Next to it is the preview quality, so if your computer ever lags when you're trying to play back, this is how you can fix it very simply. So usually by default it might be on good and full. If that is the case and it's still lagging, of course try good and auto. If it's still lagging, try preview and auto. And if it is still lagging, which it probably shouldn't be by now, then select draft and auto. And over to the side here we have copy snapshot to clipboard, and next to it we have of course a snapshot. Now a snapshot will simply take a picture or save an image of what will be on screen right here. Over to the side is the master volume. So as you talk or as you play back, you'll be able to see your volume here. Usually what you're aiming for is to hit about 6. Anything higher will make the video sound a bit more distort. And once again we get control of the master effects. This will be applied to every bit of audio in your project. We then get automation settings, we get mute, and of course a solo button. Solo means that only the audio will be playing. Above that we have the project audio properties, we have down mix output, we have a dim output, and finally we have open mixing console. Now down here we have the project and we also have the preview. So the project is what you intend for the final output. For example, right now it says 1920 by 1080 at 30 FPS. So that's how I also want the video to output once I render it. The preview, some cases it may differ. Some cases it might say something a lot lower. That is okay, you don't need to worry about it. Here it says frame, so if you were to go across on your timeline, you can see the frames also go up. If you want to be more accurate, it tells you exactly frame there. And then something I skipped, which is here known as trimmer. Now I skipped this because it's not really useful, and in all Vegases it's always been there, but it's just never been useful for me. You might find it useful, but basically what trimmer is, it basically says it. Trimmer is basically to trim. Now this can be trimming audio or trimming video. And again we have the play, pause, stop, and then we have the add to timeline or fill to fit. Now if we press these three lines again, you can see we can have these buttons added next to it by simply selecting edit visible button set, have some check marks to the ones you want, from there select OK, and they would appear here. And coming down at the bottom, you can see it says record. Now what this is actually recording, it's not going to be your screen, it's going to be recording your microphone. So you can directly voice record into Vegas from here. Again, next we have the loop button, we have play from start, play, pause, stop, go to start, go to end, and then we can single frames left or right. Here we have the normal edit tool, so that you can see that's just me selecting around right now. Here we have envelope edit tool, so this would be useful if you ever start using velocity. Here we have a selection tool, so if you have a lot of things in your timeline, you want to move them all at once, you would select this selection tool, highlight everything, and you can simply go back to the normal edit tool and just move it across. Here we have the magnifying tool, or the zoom edit tool as it's known as, so that just helps you zoom in if you want to. Alternatively, to zoom in, you can use this button here, or you can use this button here. So you can see the one on the right, this zooms into the height, the one at the bottom zooms into time. And then coming across, if I had footage here, there is a delete button, so if I selected a footage and pressed this button, it would delete it. Alternatively, just delete on your keyboard will work. Here we have a trim. For a shortcut for trim is also S on your keyboard. As you can see, it's also Control T. We can have trim at the start, which is Alt and L. We can have trim at the end, which is Alt and J. We can have lock event. Now what lock event is, if I was to have something in my timeline right now, I could put it in, and if I would select it and then select that lock event, I would no longer be able to move it. So this will probably be useful for those who maybe edit music videos, because if one thing moves, it can mess everything up. So definitely a tool to make some use out of. Next we have markers. Markers are very, very useful. I've used them in a lot of tutorials as well. So basically what markers are, let's say for example right here, we would want to add some text later on. So I can press M on my keyboard, and from here I can type in something above here. So for example, I can put add text here. Then I can put maybe CasualSavage. So what I've basically done is put a marker, it's telling me to add text, and the text I want to add is CasualSavage. This is good if you ever want to just get through and edit, then add on the little accessories at the end, such as your social media, your lower thirds, some extra text if you want to. So definitely make use of this as well. Now you can't just have one, you can have multiple. So select, 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 and you can also see I don't always have to add some text there. If I just want to put a marker, I can just put a marker. If you want to delete one, just right click one, select delete. If you want to delete all of them at once, right click in between on this timeline and simply select markers and regions and delete all. Next is this magnet, which is also snapping. So that means if I was to have some footage here and drag it to this line here, the footage would snap to it. If it wasn't enabled, then I would have to zoom in really close and really make it look like it's gonna be in place. Next we have automatic fades or cross fades. So this is basically when you overlap a video onto another video, it will create it into a fade. If you don't have it checked, then it will just be a straight cut from one video to another. Here we have auto ripple. Next to it we have lock envelopes to events, and finally we have ignore event grouping. So continuing with the UI. Further up here we have create a new project, we have open, so this can be opening a video file, or you can just drag and drop. This is saving a project. I do recommend doing this at least every 10 minutes in case your PC or Vegas crashes. Next to it we have render as, so if I was to have some footage here, that's a quick way of selecting it. We have properties, we have the cut, we have the copy, we have a paste, we have the undo, the redo, and then we have some tutorials built in and what's this help. Now one more user interface thing I will be covering is how to change its color. So for those that are familiar with the previous Vegas, it was never a black background. It's actually usually a grey tone. So it's been changed in Vegas Pro 15 and I actually do like it a lot, and it's really simple to change. So what you would do is head up to options, select preferences, and from preferences you're going to head over to display. Now from display you can see it says interface type. Currently it's set to dark, which is what we have on, but we have medium, light, and white. So medium is more of a grey, light is a light grey, white of course is just white. So it's really simple to do. Let's make it medium. What we have to do is select apply. As you can see, it tells us to restart Vegas in order for this to take place. Select OK and select OK. Close out of Vegas. There's nothing to save here, so you can select no. From there, we're going to open Vegas back up. And as you'll see, this is Vegas. Just like that, the UI has changed. So now I'll be getting onto these things here. So such as the text, which we will be starting with. Now it's under media generators. We have these things here if you would like to use them. Not really a fan of them though. We have credit roll, so again this is really useful if you're maybe creating a short film or you just want to add some credit to maybe some friends that helped you in a video. We then also have prototype titler, so again this can be useful for you. Then we have titles and text, so as you can see these are already animated for us, so I will actually use one right now. So we'll use Speedy. All you need to do is select it, drag and drop it into your timeline. From there, this box is going to open up. Now I will simply highlight the text and change it to CasualSavage. Now you're probably thinking, why isn't my text showing? Well, X out of this, and remember this is how the text is going to look. We're currently right at the start of the text, which means we're not even into the animation yet. If we come across, you can see now we can see our text. So let's play it through. Just like that, pretty simple. Now if you ever put some text in and you want to edit it, you can always right click and select edit generated media. However, a quicker way is just selecting this button right here. As you can see, it brings up what we need. To change the font or anything, just press Ctrl A on the text, come to the text, and I'll come to B and I'll use big noodle thing. There we go, and if I X out of it, you can see the text has changed. And just like that, that's how you add text. That is how you can edit it as well. So we can change the color from here if you want to. We can change the scale. I don't recommend actually changing the scale though. This is to make it bigger or smaller. When you want to make it bigger or smaller, I recommend just straight changing the font size. Now you can see it only shows 52, but you can always just type in a custom number. So these are some other things you can add to your text: a background if you would like to, an outline. So currently outline is on it now. We can add a shadow. You have to enable it first, and I will add some color which is going to be very visible, such as a blue. And there we go. So if I X out of it, that's how it looks. We have that very thin white outline, and we have a blue shadow, and of course I change the text color. And then the final one is legacy text. Now this is the text you'll probably be using the most. So default text, you can see I have presets made up here, and I will show you how to make your own presets. So we have this one right here. Now let's say you like the way it looks, you like the settings you used, you don't want to be coming to Speedy every time and going through the exact same settings. Super simple, come back to edit generated media, where it says presets, change this to maybe Speedy custom. If you're happy with the name, select this save preset button, X out of it. Now you won't see it here just yet, just click off and click back to it, come down, and you can see it says speed custom. Now when I drag and drop this in, all of my settings have been saved right here. So the next thing, which is project media. So this is where I said anything you do in Vegas will be saved here. So then two types of text we just created are saved right here. But now I'm going to add on two videos. Now we can drag and drop it into the project media. If you have bulk, I recommend doing that. If you have maybe one or two, then just drag it straight onto your timeline. So this is one of my tutorials here, and then here is one of me walking from my short film. As you'll see, them videos are saved here. Next is the Explorer. So the Explorer, like I mentioned, it just lets you go through your hard drive right from Vegas, so you don't have to keep going to folder. If you have a second monitor, of course, it's not really useful for you. Like I have a second monitor, so I don't really use Explorer. However, next is transitions, and that's what I'm going to be showing you right now. So to apply a transition is really simple. First of all, a fade. So earlier I mentioned about an automatic crossfade. This is where this helps. So if I drag this over, you can see just like that, we're getting this effect. Now what you're seeing is a fade, and how long it's lasting is 19 frames. If I keep dragging it, it's now lasting 1 second. Now it's 2 seconds. And you can drag it as long as you want to. So let's do a 2-second fade, and if I play this through, just like that, the fade has worked. So we can keep it as a fade, or we can change this fade directly into a transition. So leave it how it is, and then we can come up to transitions and we can select a transition we like. So for example, I like a flash, and I'm going to drag on the default over this crossfade. Now you can see that crossfade has been completely taken up by this flash. The audio will remain the same, you don't need to worry about that because you won't need any effects for that. But now what we just saw was a crossfade. So now what we're going to be seeing is a flash. Just like that, it's a flash transition. Now although I've added flash, we can experiment. So let's say we want to use a swap just to see how it looks like. I'll use this one here. Drag and drop it over the flash, just like that. It's now swapped. So swap like that. Now you can see that time it was lagging. So again, like I mentioned, come up here, change it to preview and auto, play it through. And just like that, that transition is done smoothly. Now something that's not here, but something that's pretty useful is a fade in and fade out. Now this is really simple to do in Vegas, but nowhere actually shows you how to do it. So you just simply come to the start, look for this icon at the top corner. As you can see, it says fade in offset. So this time you're seeing now is 1 second, and it's going to take 1 second for this text to fade in. So if I play it, that text has been faded in. Now you can drag this on as long as you want to, and the same applies for fading out. You come to the top right corner and simply drag it. Now something else to notice or to point out to do with the fades. Now you can see this line happening here. We can change the fade type. So if you come here to see this icon, right click it, and as you can see, these are different types of fades you can get in Vegas. Experiment with these, and these fades also work with audio. So if I drag the audio and then right click, you can see right here we can get different types of fades for the audio. So final thing here is video effects, and you can add on any video effects and any amount you like. Now be aware, the more video effects you add on, the more laggy it will be on playback, the more time it will take to render, and it could really mess up your footage in terms of the way it looks. So for example, I'll add on some soft contrast with a warm vignette, and you can see the way I done that was simply just drag and dropping onto my video track. And yeah, so let's go to the vignette. We can change the strength, we can add a tint of something, so again make it more cinematic. We can add on a color corrector, of course. As you can see, it's got more of a blue tint to it now. And like I mentioned, you can add on as many effects as you want to. Now once again, if you ever put on a video effect and you want to go back to edit that specific effect you added on, you can always right click, select media effects, or alternatively you can select this button right here, and this brings up straight away. You can see we have the color corrector, and we also have the soft contrast, and everything else or anything else you add will be here. Now one thing that this doesn't show is audio effects. Now you can add audio effects, and all you need to do is come to the audio track. As you can see, it says FX, so select that. From there you can select all, and this is all the effects that are in Vegas built in. Of course you can download some if you need to, or if you want to. So for example, a reverb, we can double click reverb. That has been added, you can tell it's been added by seeing it up here. From there you can select OK, and this is where you can now customize the reverb. And as you can see, the reverberation mode is currently on Rich Hall, but there's some presets here for you as well, or of course just mess with it yourself. Again, just like the video effects, you don't have to just have one audio effects, you can have multiple. 4 more things I'll be showing you is changing the opacity, the volume, pan and crop, and track motion. So changing the opacity of your video or your image, it's really simple. There's 2 ways. One, you can come here and drag it down, you can see it shows opacity. The second way is changing an entire track. Notice what I just done is going to only change this specific video. However, to change an entire track, instead of going one by one, you'd come up to level and you can use this slider to change the opacity. You can also double click here and put in a custom number. Changing volume is the exact same thing, so you can either drag it down, or if you want to change an entire track for maybe background music, double click, change it to maybe -20, select OK, and it's done. Another thing I didn't mention is adding another video or audio track. You just right click in this area, insert audio track or insert video track. Another thing you can do is simply drag and drop some footage, and you can drag it underneath or you can drag it on top, and automatically 2 new tracks will be created for this. Now you can always right click and delete the audio track, the video will remain. So like I mentioned, 2 more things I want to show you now is the pattern crop and the track motion. So pattern crop, first of all, it's right here, is this button here. So select it, and this is how the pattern crop looks. It's a very useful feature. It's often overlooked as just a thing to zoom in or zoom out, but there's a lot more to it. So down here we have position and we also have masking. We'll be getting into that, but not too much. So first of all, for position, you can see this is how the video currently looks. Now using these tools on the side will help me zoom into me. So first of all, yes, I want to be on the normal edit tool. We have the zoom edit tool here, or you can just use the mouse wheel, which I find much easier. Here we have enable snapping. That is completely optional if you want that. We have lock aspect ratio, and we have size about center, and finally we have move in Y only, move in all directions, or move in X only. Now let me show you what lock aspect ratio does. So this is how the video is without it. Now you can see the video is getting pretty distort, like it's now a square. But if I right click and select restore to get it back to normal, and now I enable lock aspect ratio, I can zoom in from a corner and the video is going to stay in the correct size. Now I can move it down just like this, just like that. It is done. Size about center, this is a pretty useful one, so we can zoom directly into the middle just from the corners. If you don't have that check and just lock aspect ratio, you can see it zooms into a corner, or from wherever you're dragging it will zoom into the opposite side. We also get control of the angle. I wouldn't actually change it from here though, because you can see around the edges is a circle, and this circle allows you to change the rotation. Now while we're here, I'm going to get into a little bit of keyframing. So right now the image is tilted and it's zoomed into me. If I come across and select sync cursor, if I come across on my timeline now, you can see I'm moving off screen. What I'm going to be doing is simply tilting it a bit more, and I'm going to drag it across. Now what we've done, we've added another frame. So this is the frame right here. This right at the start is the first frame. So if I play it through, you can see as I'm walking, the camera is also tilting. So it's pretty cool. You can make some good camera movements with this. I actually did a video on this not long ago, how to create fake camera movements in Vegas Pro 15 using the pattern crop and the track motion. So like I said, I will be touching on masking very quickly. So masking, to enable masking, first of all, you need to make sure you checked this box. Then we have these different tools now. So we have the move tool or normal edit tool, anchor creation, anchor deletion, split tangent tool, rectangle or square mask, oval or circle, zoom, snapping, and of course moving in which direction. So I'm going to quickly use a circle, and I'm simply going to drag a circle around me like this. And that is a mask, so you can see it's taken out everything else apart from what I just masked out. But what we can also do, let's say I want to take me out but keep everything else. Let's change this to a negative mask, and you can see that's what it does. But again, using the sync cursor and coming across on my timeline, I will keep myself in this circle the entire time. So as I'm walking away, I will also have this there as well. So if I play this through, this is simply what I've just done. That circle's going to follow me in it the entire time, kind of like a spotlight, until I walk off, just like that. But that is the fundamentals of Vegas Pro 15. I am 100% sure after you've watched this video thoroughly, you will be able to edit using Vegas Pro 15. You can tell it's very simple. Everything's where you want it to be. It's very nicely laid out. Transitions right in front of you, video effects right in front of you, and of course you have this preview window.